So Dana White just announced the return of Nick Diaz and Tony Ferguson on the Abu Dhabi card in August, but they're not against each other? What are you doing? I wanted to play this video of the announcement, but there's a bunch of fight highlights over the top of it, so I'm not going to be able to play it. So we're going to go through the fights that have been made. Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa and Vicente Luque versus Nick Diaz. So you're telling me that they're going to Abu Dhabi and both Nick Diaz and Tony Ferguson are available to fight at 170 pounds in Abu Dhabi, and they're not putting them against each other? Because we just need to see Ferguson versus Chiesa, and we just so desperately need to see Luque versus Nick Diaz. Is that really what you think? You saw that you had Nick Diaz and Tony Ferguson on board to be on the Abu Dhabi card, and you thought to yourself, looking at Nick Diaz and Tony Ferguson on your piece of paper saying they are ready for UFC Abu Dhabi at 170 pounds, you thought, UFC matchmakers, I know what we'll do. Let's just put Chiesa against Ferguson and Luque against Diaz, so we can have them both lose. Why? I don't understand this whatsoever. The Abu Dhabi card is looking amazing though, by the way. That does need to be mentioned. Absolutely stacked so far. I mean, this is probably why we've had some pretty weak pay-per-views over the past, UFC 301. We got the lack of substance outside of the main and co-main events of the next few pay-per-views as well. But Abu Dhabi's getting the red carpet treatment. Corey Sandhagen, Umar Nurmagomedov, Luque versus Nick Diaz in the co-main event. Marlon Vera versus Davison Figueiredo. Mackenzie Dern, Lupita Godinez. Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. These are massive matchups. I just don't know why they couldn't have just done Tony Ferguson, Nick Diaz. But let's talk about this. Because, you know who deserves a Tony Ferguson matchup? Michael Chiesa. The most boring fighter in the welterweight division. One of the most boring fighters in the UFC. Wants it to the ground. If not, he'll literally just shell up like he did against Kevin Holland and accept defeat in the fight. Hasn't been active whatsoever. Does fuck all for the company. Never has saved an event on short notice. This guy does fuck all for the benefit of the company and the entertainment value of the fans. Doesn't give a shit about them whatsoever, but he has a YouTube show with Paul Felder on our fucking channel. So let's give him the Tony Ferguson matchup. What kind of behavior are we rewarding here? There are so many fighters that would have loved to have had this opportunity, or so many older fighters that would have had a fair opportunity against Tony Ferguson where it would have been a fair fight. Chiesa's too big for him. He's too strong for him. Tony Ferguson is weak, frail, losing testosterone by the fucking second. He's becoming soy, and he's going to get manhandled by Chiesa on a pure strength basis. Because Chiesa is a big welterweight. I know he used to be at lightweight as well, but he's a big welterweight. And I'm telling you now, he's going to half-guard camp Tony Ferguson and probably get a submission win over him with no resistance. And do I want Ferguson to win? Yes. If they do keep it on the feet and Ferguson can keep this standing, he has a really solid chance of winning this, because Chiesa is not built for combat. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. They sneak into combat sports through jiu-jitsu and grappling, even though they're not really built for it. Chiesa, man, he's going to win this fight. I just don't understand this. I don't understand why they would do this. I want to talk about Nick Diaz's comeback again as well, but this is it, you know? Like Matt Brown retired recently. He said he couldn't really get it up anymore for fighting. He didn't have that same excitement about it. I'm telling you something that would give Matt Brown a bit of excitement about making another fight happen. If you gave him Nick Diaz as a matchup, I bet you anything Matt Brown would have said, all right, one more in Abu Dhabi for old time's sake, for a bit of a paycheck. Matt Brown versus Nick Diaz. Legendary matchup. We get Tony Ferguson, Michael Chiesa. Chiesa's going to win. No idea why they've made the matchup. I hope Ferguson wins. Here we are, though. Ferguson's still doing it. And if he gets a win, listen, it's at 170. So he might have, like, taken McGregor's words a bit more serious. You know what I mean? He's not at 155 here. He's looking up at 170. That's where McGregor's weight is going to be if he's fighting Michael Chandler. So maybe he's just putting himself in a position to where he could get that McGregor fight with a win if McGregor were to lose to Michael Chandler. But I just don't understand why Chiesa's being rewarded with any type of nice matchup whatsoever. Like, Michael Chiesa should be being given Michael Morales right now. That's what should be happening. Like, oh, okay, Michael Chiesa, Chaos Williams wants a fight. You know what I mean? That's what we should be doing with Chiesa after all the boring fights we've had to sit through of his career. But no, give him the layup. Fuck off. Vicente Luque versus Nick Diaz. Now, this is a 5-round co-main event. Obviously, I'm picking Luque to win. Am I happy Luque got this matchup? Kind of. I know it's crazy to say that after what I just said about Chiesa, but this is the absolute polar opposite of Chiesa in terms of excitement in their fights. Last few fights haven't been too crazy exciting, and he did basically call it quits on a career in his last fight against Buckley, which was sad to see. You know, he did have that brain problem where he had a hemorrhage in the brain, and it was a really, really dangerous thing that happened. You didn't know if he was going to fight again. I'm worried about him here because this does seem like the type of fight where Nick Diaz lands a couple and Luque's brain just goes, yeah, we're calling it quits again. But I am going to go with Luque. Just Nick Diaz is going to be soft-bodied. He's going to be looking to box with low sting in the shots and high volume. And that game plan doesn't really work anymore. You know, there used to be a time in MMA where you could get away with throwing shots with little to no effort. People are so dangerous now and quick and fast, and they can find KOs so much better than they could back in the day that you can't be risking tap, tap, tap to take a big one anymore. And you also can't be risking it if you're Nick Diaz, who, you know, maybe could do when he had a great chin, but now the chin is obviously not going to be the same as it once was. He's not going to take punishment the same way. So I'm seeing Luque just chopping at the leg, going to the body, landing a couple of big shots. Nick Diaz starting to take a bit of damage. It starts to be a pretty sad looking fight. Oh my God, Luque still chopping at his leg. Another leg kick from Luque. Oh my God, great body kick from Luque. He's dropped Nick Diaz again. He's letting him back up. Another leg kick from Luque. This is sad. Please, ref, step in. Nick Diaz can't step on that lead leg anymore. He hasn't been kicked in it in about 7 years. Please, ref, step in. Oh God, he's down again to another low kick. This is sad. Oh, the white towel's been thrown in by his corner. Oh, this is over. Why do we do that? Why is that the outcome you want, UFC? It annoys me so much that that's the outcome you want. And that's what you're pushing for here with these matchups, is it not? It's exactly what they're pushing for these matchups. Nick Diaz is coming back. Who out of any welterweight on the fucking roster could we give him? Tony Ferguson included. Let's give him Vicente Luque. All right, Tony Ferguson's coming back. Anyone available on the roster they could give him? Chiesa. So he can lay on him and half guard camp him into an arm triangle submission. But either way, the Abu Dhabi card's looking great. It's nice to see that there's still some countries the UFC will go to that will treat the place well. I wonder what time this card's starting at. It says 5 p.m. UK time. So they're doing Abu Dhabi cards at good UK time. Yeah, I'm saying? All good. Wonder if that's American time. It could be. Who knows? But this is looking like an amazing card so far. Corey Sandhagen, Umar Nurmagomedov. Sick main event. Now, I know what you might be saying. What? Figueiredo was ready for Abu Dhabi. He's won 2 fights against 2 top 10 opponents, or 2 good opponents at bantamweight in a row, including a top 10 win over Rob Font. And he was a former champion at flyweight that had defenses at flyweight as well and has a win over the current champion, Alejandro Pantoja. If he was ready for the card, why is Umar fighting in the main event against Sandhagen? They get preferential treatment. Figueiredo's still got to earn his shot against someone like Sandhagen after 2 wins against ranked opponents. I think Garbrandt was number 15 at the time. Who knows? But Vera, you know, he's going to have to get through Vera first before we can give him that shot against Sandhagen. Umar, though, did no one see what he did to, I can't even remember the guy's name, so never mind. But didn't you see what this guy did to Nate Maness? Of course he's earned a shot against Sandhagen. All good. Umar Nurmagomedov, Corey Sandhagen, sick main event regardless. Vicente Luque, Nick Diaz, sick fight as well. Gonna be a brutal one to watch Nick Diaz get destroyed by Vicente Luque. Marlon Vera, Davison Figueiredo. Another sick fight. Dern, Lupi Godinez, actually a pretty good fight as well. And then Ferguson, Chiesa to open up the main card. They've also got Alonzo Menifield versus Azamat Murzakanov. So they're really stacking this card. And it's good. It's good that they still have certain events with certain types of people in the world and certain connections to people that might have some oil money where they actually are going to care about the product that they put on. Put a fucking shit card together for all these fight nights in the US with the crowd. Put a shit fight night on over here. Shit fight night on over there. But those oil princes start talking to you. You lay out the red carpet. It's all good, UFC. We see where the priorities lie. UK's been MMA fans for years. Start the card at fucking in the middle of the night. All good. Even though the whole card's full of UK talent, just start it in the middle of the night. But this one can start 5 p.m. UK time. All good. Sick card, though. Wicked card. I'm leaning towards Umar, Luque, Figueiredo. I want to say Lupi Godinez, but I feel like Dern could pull it off. But I'll go Lupi Godinez, leaning towards her. And then, obviously, Michael Chiesa to half guard Camp Ferguson to a win. But there you go. Dana White has made some announcements. They really just sort of skimmed over this. But I guess that adds a lot of value to the Abu Dhabi card in August. So I'll take it. It's like a little mini pay-per-view in a way, right? I don't mind it. If this had a title on the top of it, it'd be better than UFC 301. That's how easy it would have been. So yeah, looking forward to things. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Great stuff. Nick Diaz is back. I've been looking forward to this. They said he was going to come back. I guess he is. I hope he's getting paid a good amount of money. I'm imagining he's probably going to get paid $1 million, maybe $500,000. We'll see. I just don't know why Chiesa was elected as like, let's treat him to a Tony Ferguson matchup. Matt Brown. You couldn't have got Matt Brown back for one more. You couldn't have found anyone else outside the rankings. Like, I would have taken a Neil Magny matchup over this, honestly. He's honestly deserved it more. It is what it is. I just don't understand not doing a 5-round co-main event of Nick Diaz versus Tony Ferguson and then doing Chiesa Luque to open up the card, the rematch. It's all good, though. Just have both of them lose and get rid of them, I guess, is what the UFC wants to do. Loud and clear, UFC. You don't want them around anymore. See you later. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.